Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Fine OK from a Mighty Storm. My first time I can actually say that. Haven't uploaded a video since I joined the team or whatever, but if you didn't know, I'm playing in the SPL again under a Mighty Storm. So yeah, bring you guys a video today. It's going to be a God Guide, my next God Guide. I'm just doing CHULAINN. I decided to do CHULAINN because he is in the meta right now. He's a relatively new god. And I feel like his skill floor is pretty high. I think his skill ceiling, like his skill cap, is actually not that high. I feel like once you get the hang of him, he's actually pretty easy. But he's just his I guess the bridge to learning just how to play him in Conquest is it's a little high, especially for new players and people who aren't too good at the game. So yeah, we're just gonna do CHULAINN. And like always, we're just gonna start out with what we're starting. Remember, this is a solo lane guide, so it may be a little different for if you're playing jungle or if you're playing this in arena or you're doing whatever. This is for solo lane competitive wise and ranked and everything like that. So there's two options for your start. You can either go Bluestone Pendant and a Boots 1, or you can go Death Toll and Boots 1. Bluestone's good because you have 3 abilities just in this stance that proc Bluestone, and also all 3 of your abilities in your Berserk form, because remember that he is a stance, I guess, a stance switching god, quote unquote. So you have 6 ways to proc Bluestone, so that's pretty good, right? Also, though, I prefer to go Death Toll, just because you're auto-attacking a lot. The health is actually pretty helpful, and this allows you to kind of trade with other Death Toll warriors. If you're against a Bluestone warrior, you should probably go Bluestone, in my opinion, just because you don't need to worry about that pressure. But I still like Death Toll because you're auto-attacking a lot, like I said, and you can sustain a lot with it. So we're just going to go with that. And then your start would be Boots 1, of course, Health Chalice, and 2 healing potions. The reason you need to go this is because you don't have mana. You guys should already know this, but you don't have mana on CHULAINN. He has a Rage, that's his passive. In order to go to Berserk form, which is your other stance, you have to hit 85 Rage, right? So you have to hit 85. You don't use mana, you just use Rage. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. So you can go health pots on him, as you don't need any mana sustain, right? Okay, and then your active should be either, I've talked about this a few times, it can be Horrific, Sprint, or Shell. Usually one of these is your first 3. You've seen people go Hog, you can mess around with Hog, but I usually like to go one of these 3. So I'm just going to buy Horrific just to have it for later on. You're going to be starting with your 1 always. I'm going to wait for these waves to kill themselves real quick. And with CHULAINN, his CHULAINN's level 1 is terrible, right? You use your 1, it doesn't have any CC, it just does damage. His level 1 is probably one of the worst warrior level 1s in the game. However, his level 2 is probably the best warrior level 1 in the game, and I'll explain why. So when you're using your 1 to clear, say you're starting wave, you want to hit all the minions, right? Your 1 actually stuns the minions, so that gives you a little bit of time to get some pressure because the minions won't be auto-attacking your wave. So you want to 1 the wave, and if you hit 3 minions with your 1, you actually gain 18 Rage, and 85 is the number that you want. So usually I would push the wave, and then I would go to my buff. So I'm not going to go to my buff, but you know what I mean. Like, you would push a wave and go to a buff. I'm at 50 Rage right now. So once I go to this next wave, or this buff, I can 3 it, hit all the minions, and I'll hit level 3 here. And then I can jump on all 3, and then I'll gain my Rage. And I'm super close to gaining my my Berserk form here, right? If I had done it on a jungle camp, I would be super close to it. I might even actually hit it. And then I could go to lane, use my ability on the wave, and then I would hit my Berserk form, and I could transform. And his level 2, like I said, is really good. So I'm not even going to try and kill the minions here. I'm just going to try and hit 2. I don't want to gain level 3. Okay, so now I'm transforming because I hit 5. You should be doing this on the second wave almost every time. So I gain physical power, I get a shield, and I have a ticking mystical mail. So just think about that. Like, I should be able to outpressure literally everybody, right? If I have a shield, extra physical power that they don't have, and I have a ticking mystical mail. And also, one of the key things is, remember I bought Horrific, but I also have a root and a dash that is the CC. So now I have 2 forms of CC, where in this form I only have damage. Like, my 1 and my 3 do no form of CC, right? So basically, in general, or as a summary for at least the first 2 levels, is your level 1's really bad. Try not to fight too much at level 1. But level 2, make sure you hit your transform. If you're playing it correctly, just make sure you're hitting minions. You're not missing your abilities. You shouldn't be missing your abilities on a wave in a jungle camp. And then you'll transform on the second wave, and you can just go face. You can go face at them. If your jungler's there, you can 2v2. And you have so much kill potential. So should always be looking for that. I'm going to hit level 5 real quick. go to do this real quick. Alright, so you're going to be maxing your 1 first. You want to max your 1 into your 3, because you can use both for a lot of damage. So you should always be using your abilities on at least 3 minions to stack up your passive. One way to lose rage is to use your 2. Another way is to jump on something and just not hit anything, or to use your 1, right? But you want to have your rage almost always stacked up. And I'm not really doing it right here. I'm not using it well because I'm trying to explain some things. But I should always be very near, at least, transforming, right? Maybe not always. If you don't want to transform because you're either backing or you don't want to fight, you just don't feel like you're not going to get any pressure with it, just use your abilities on nothing or use your 2 to lower it. And then always have the option when you're at the wave. So I should be at like maybe like 60 or 70 rage right now, and I should always have the option of either wanting it and transforming, or if he's playing up and I know I can transform, I can ult him in the entire wave. And your ult gives you a lot more. You can get a max of 36, right? And obviously I wasn't close enough, so I'm not going to transform. But you should always keep track of your rage and make sure that you're almost like maybe like 10 off, maybe like 15 off from transforming. So around 70 mana or rage, whatever it's called. So that way that you can transform on the wave and go on them. So yeah, that's basically just how to play CHULAINN in the laning phase. Alright, we're back, guys, and now we're going to be talking about the build path for CHULAINN. I keep wanting to say Erlang for CHULAINN, but for CHULAINN. So we're going to be going straight into Warrior tab. He's an ability-based warrior for the most part, so this power spike is huge. You'll hit really hard with your abilities. It also helps with your auto attacks. You're getting auto attacks here and there on the enemy soul laner, so this is fine to make them hit harder. You don't really want Ninja Tab and these two, of course, you don't want. And then we're going to be going Gladiator Shield. In general, Gladiator Shield is really good on soul laners right now, but it's even better on Erlang. I keep saying that. CHULAINN, because he has 8 abilities that proc it, right? All of his abilities proc it. And the most interesting part is that his 2 procs it. So if I 2 in a team fight and walk around, I'm getting like kind of focused, I'll get all my procs on it if there's like 5 there. And then if I hit multiple people with my 1, my 3, and then I ult, and then I get multiple people, I'm getting so many Gladiator Shield procs that it's super worth it to go on him. So that's always good. Then we're going to be going straight into Mystical Mail. I think Mystical Mail is a good pickup on most soul laners right now, even some ability-based ones. But it's even better on CHULAINN because it synergizes, I guess, well with his 2. Because since you're going to be always in a team fight near somebody and you're actually using your 2 for a little bit of damage, you can use your 2 and Mystical Mail, and it'll get a lot of tick damage off, a lot of DPS. Not only that, but if you transform, you're going to have your 2 plus Mystical Mail, so it's going to be super consistent DPS. So that's a good item to get. Hide of the Urchin. Hide of the Urchin is just a really good item in general right now. I keep saying in general, but I do mean that. Like in general, Hide of the Urchin is one of the most broken defense items right now because 35 each, 250 health is super important. That's a lot of effective health. And then 250 mana, you actually get health. You get health for buying mana in your items, or you get HP 5 for getting MP 5. So you'll get a little bit of this mana actually converted into health since you do not have mana in your passive, right? So that's a good item to get. You want to stack that up. Should be fine. Then I usually go Genji's here. Genji's is good on him. I like Genji's in general, unless they have a lot of healing that you need to go Pestilence, but usually I would go Genji's. Gives you 150 health, gives you that magical protection that you need. 40 MP5, which is going to convert into some HP 5, and then that 10% CDR plus the passive CDR. And that's just the amount of CDR that you want. You don't want to go full CDR on CHULAINN because you're kind of using your auto attacks in your rage form for damage, and you kind of need other items like Hide of the Urchin and Mystical Mail to really increase your DPS. So I would go Genji's there. Then I would sell this, and I would usually go Stone of Gaia. I still like Stone of Gaia. Even after the nerf, 400 health is so much health, plus the passive. For those like sieges, you can back up, heal with Stone of Gaia, heal with your HP 5. You actually, your Chalice rather, you actually get back to full health pretty quickly. I think Stone of Gaia is really good. I'm going to upgrade or level up to 12 real quick just so I can get my second active. So then you would max your 3. I've already talked about this. You max your 3 and your ult. And then I would go Blink. So Blink I really like on CHULAINN. The reason being is that if there's a team fight going on, I can blink in, and I'll talk about this more in a little bit. I can blink in and hit multiple people with my ult and then transform immediately. So that's what I would go. And I actually would keep Gladiator Shield for most of the game. If I were going to sell it for anything, late game, I would sell it for Midgardian. This way I actually have a lot of health, like it's going to be so hard to kill me, especially with this shield, right? So I would sell that for Midgardian very late game, and then eventually I would even sell this for Reinforced Greaves, just because, you know, you're a soul laner. In the late game, you're not going to be able to like 1v1 somebody. So you should just be as tanky as possible just to help set up for your team. So this would be the end game build, but since we're going to talk about team fights in a little bit, I'm just going to go back to having this. So obviously I would be level 20 if I were full build, right? But I'm just going to keep that for now. So this would be the end game build, or not the end game, but this would be almost pretty much your finished build by the time the game is like pretty much over in most games, because right now most games are over at this time. You would have this build, but again, like I said, you could sell Gladiators from Guardian and Warrior Tebe for reinforced grease. So yeah, I'm going to talk about CHULAINN's team fight and stuff like that after this. Alright, we're back, guys, and now we're going to talk about CHULAINN in team fights, basically. I actually got my rage stacked up to 70 because that's about where you should be, like I said before, maybe even a little bit closer. You want to be around here so that way when you blink into a team fight and you ult, you can immediately transform, and I'll show you what I mean. Since I don't have it like multiple people to do this on, what the heck? Why is there only one minion there? Let me see what's going on here. Alright, he's got 3. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to talk more about blink, so here we go. Blink's really good on CHULAINN because I can blink into a team fight, immediately ult, and since your ult gives you 36 max, if I hit at least 2 people, I will definitely be transforming from around 70 rage. So usually the scenario would be there's a team fight breaking out, I can blink in, I'm going to ult, blink in and ult. So now I'm transforming. I should use my abilities on at least one person because I need to get those abilities out before I transform for max DPS. Now I'm in my rage form and I can just go on their carries like non-stop. There's no way they can 1v1 me. You actually get physical power for being in your rage form, so you should be able to do a lot of damage to them. Make sure you get your ult on multiple people, like I said, because it'll proc Gladiator Shield, and make sure you're hitting multiple people with your 2 because, like I said, proccing Gladiator Shield, so you're going to be getting so many Gladiators procs. I guess I'll grab these. So basically try to hit multiple people with all of your abilities because for 2 reasons. 1, Gladiator Shield, you'll get multiple procs and you will never die. And 2, it stacks up your rage. Not just, of course, it doesn't stack up your rage when you're in your Berserk form, but so yeah, that's why I really like going blink, especially if you blink in, I get a multiple ult and I horrific, then I can just chase anybody down. I'll force actives with my horrific and I can chase them down with my ult and all that stuff. So yeah, that's one scenario. If you don't like going blink and you'd rather go something else, then you're going to have to be looking to just walk in and you know, transform after using your ult. The main thing with CHULAINN is using your ult to transform because it's hard. Your 1, it's pretty small. You can hit away with it because it's very easy, but it's pretty hard to hit multiple, like 2 or 3 people with your 1 in most scenarios. So you usually won't be transforming with your 1. It's usually your ult just because it's super big, so you can hit both of these people with it, and it also stacks your rage up more. It can stack up to 36, whereas your other abilities can only go up to 18 if you hit 3 minions. So that's kind of how you team fight with him. You just want to transform. You make sure you get your abilities off before you transform. That way when you come back, you'll have those abilities again, you know, and just because you're about to get all your cooldowns reset because you're going into a completely new god, basically. So yeah, that's how you basically play team fights. I think I probably could talk about more, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Once you transform, just go on their carries non-stop, right? And make sure you're getting multiple procs, your Gladiator Shield, and all that. So that's going to be it for CHULAINN in team fight. Alright guys, that goes over a lot of it. I'm going to talk about God matchups with CHULAINN, so just for a little bit. So the 2 main matchups that you need to worry about, I think, are Erling and Osiris. You kind of have to worry about those with everybody, but especially on CHULAINN, that's probably his 2 worst matchups. And the reason being is you use your 3 a lot for clearing the wave and also stacking up your rage. And with those characters, since they have such high pressure and kill potential, they can actually just go on you once your 3 is down. So you got to be kind of wary of that. So something I keep in mind when I'm playing CHULAINN, and that you obviously should keep in mind because it's basically his entire kit, is making sure you transform after using your 3. So after I use my 3 on the wave, I need to make sure that I'm hitting that 85 so that I can transform, because if I'm not and my 3 is down and they go on me, they actually do have a lot of kill potential. They may force my ult if it's that point in the game, and I don't want that to happen, right? So just make sure that you're using your 3 I guess smartly, intelligently, in order to transform and not get wrecked by the Death Toll Warrior, right? Pretty much every other matchup is good for him, or at least like even. CHULAINN's team fight is amazing. It's actually a lot better than most warriors right now. So if you can just survive the laning phase and maybe even, you know, put a lot of pressure on one of the Bluestone warriors, then he is probably one of the best warriors to play. However, I think Herc is actually pretty good into him. One thing CHULAINN does have going for him in that matchup is that his 1 has anti-heal. So if he wants Herc before the big heal comes off from his 3, that's pretty good, especially in team fights if you can coordinate it perfectly with your team. However, after a certain point, once Herc gets Breastplate and you have Gladiator Shield, I actually believe he outtrades you, even if you use your 1 perfectly for his anti-heal. I feel like Herc just outtrades him in that regard, especially because your Mystical Mail stacks up Herc's passive. Like, and you can just keep it the entire. You can keep all that physical power the entire time, and your 1 is probably going to be the same cooldown as 3 if he's maxing his 3. He'll still be, I think, out-regenning you, even if you get the 1 anti-heal on him. Sorry, I fumble my words there. But anyway, those are the matchups that you should worry about the most. Like I said, pretty much every other matchup is good. So yeah, guys, that's basically how to play CHULAINN. It's pretty straightforward. In summary, just make sure you're always near transforming around 70 to 80 rage. That way, if a fight breaks out, you can transform. If you want to invade a jungle camp, you can transform. If you want to out-pressure, maybe even 1v1 the enemy solo laner, you can transform. You just need to make sure that you're keeping track of it and using it on multiple minions to transform for those situations. His build is pretty simple. You stick to characters anyway. You have a horrific. You don't need any like frost bounds. You don't need any like auto attack builds. You just want to go full tank and have a gladiator somewhere. Mystical Mail, of course, because that also increases your DPS by a lot, but Gladiators is amazing on him, so make sure you have that. So that's basically a summary of his build. I like Blink on him. You can Blink onto a team fight, immediately transform, and start wreaking havoc on the backline. Make sure you're always... You can survive for a while on CHULAINN, especially around like that level 15 mark. You can survive forever just getting multiple Gladiator Shield procs. So just constantly going on that backline, constantly making them, causing havoc on them. Because if that's you're doing your job. Even if you get killed, maybe you pick up a kill and you get killed, but you get everybody else slow and they had to full commit or they had to commit a lot to you. You're doing your job, right? So that's fine. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. One thing I do want to quickly go over is that CHULAINN late game and the very late game is actually pretty easy to kill. And if they're like sieging and there's not like really ways for you to stack your passive because you can't like push up to the mini. Say this is like from behind, obviously. If you can't push up to the mini wave to stack your passive, you need to be looking for ways to stack your passive so that when they siege or when you siege, you can immediately transform. If you're behind, it's a little bit harder because they have fire minions, and if you push up, they may be able to kill you. So it's actually pretty easy to kill CHULAINN late game. Keep that in mind, especially if they have anti-heal. So that's usually why I sell these 2 items for these 2. That way I'm as tanky as possible and I have a ton of health. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you play CHULAINN. I think he's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of him. He's a lot of practice and play kind of god. You just have to play him. You have to keep track of your rage. You have to constantly be experimenting with like when can you transform, when is it best to get all my abilities off, etc., etc. Oh, and one last thing. Since you are changing stances and your cooldowns reset once you get back to your Hulk form or whatever, your Berserk, you just want to use your abilities, even if they're on maybe not nothing, but say I'm in my transform and I am about to turn out and I don't have anything to ult, maybe just walk up to the enemy solo laner and ult, because your abilities are going to go back to your normal form, and then once you go back to rage, they're not going to be on cooldown. So you just want to use them just to use them because you're going to return. So yeah, that's pretty much the last thing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, give it a like, whatever. Follow me on Twitter. I decided to do CHULAINN, like I said, because he's in the middle right now and he's kind of a different god. But I'm going to do a sub goal, and you guys can choose the next god I can do a god guide on. So if you have something in mind, you can sub, influence my opinion on that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.